The Lord be with you. Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But Jesus did not say a word in answer to her. Jesus' disciples came and asked him, "Send her away, for she keeps calling out after us." He said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But the woman came and did Jesus homage, saying, "Lord, help me." He said in reply, "It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." Then Jesus said to her in reply, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And the woman's daughter was healed from that hour. The Gospel of the Lord. Good evening, everyone. In our parish, we have close to 45 ministries that are quite active. Many of those ministries range from Eucharistic ministers, lectors, as you've already seen today, a Stephen ministry that takes care of those who may be suffering or hurting, RCIA for teens, rosary groups, Bible studies, and that list goes on and on. One other such very important ministry that we have during Mass is the music ministry. It's such a vital thing, and as you know, St. Augustine said that when we sing, it's like praying twice. So it's very vital to our church, especially when it's good. It helps build up our own responses, our own prayer, especially here during the Mass. And the Figurellis have been here for a while, doing and helping us in this music ministry, especially Maria. How many years have you been doing this for?
Maybe 6.
6 years. And now she's getting ready to go away to school. So I wanted to recognize her. Come on up here so everybody can see you. I hate to embarrass you this way. I want to say thank you, obviously, for the beautiful singing and your commitment and service to us. It has been a valuable help, and we wish you and pray for you the best as you enter this new journey of life. We gave you a little something. Don't spend it all in one place. God bless you, young lady. Thank you for your service. You got to get your sister ready. The gospel today brings up so many reflections for us. There is the reflection and the point of being humble. There's also the point of perseverance. And we could see especially these two things really come to life. But there are all other kinds of side reflections that pop off the page, if you will. When I began reading this gospel passage earlier in the week, I couldn't help to think about the apostles, right? They're major characters in this story, along with Jesus, also along with the Canaanite woman. So I want to go back into this story and delve into some of those things that really popped out at me and try to bring it alive in maybe a way that we can better understand today, since the story is quite old. Sometimes the little nuances get lost on us. Now, we see this woman who has a dire need, that of help for her daughter who's possessed. So she hears of this Messiah, this miracle worker, and she goes out to see him because, like anyone else, she's looking for a cure or an exorcism for her daughter, and she begins to shout out that the Lord have mercy on her daughter, that he would do this favor for her. At first, Jesus is remaining silent. Now, I wondered, why did the apostles have the response that they did? They said, "Lord, send her away." Did they respond, Lord, send her away because she was a foreigner, right? She's a Canaanite woman. Did they say, send her away because she was like that nagging type of person, one who doesn't stop talking and you just want them gone? I'm sure we've all had that in our lives. But there's one thing we didn't realize about the nagging person. The nagging person may be me, right? We always think it's someone else. It could be me, right? Never think of that. Or did they simply not want to be bothered anymore? And yet Jesus still kind of remained silent. Then he finally says to her, I came to the lost sheep of Israel first. And that is true. Jesus' initial ministry was to the people of Israel. I guess even then they had plans for evangelization, right? Jesus had this plan of training his own people, bringing them all into the faith of becoming true disciples so that they can then go out to all the nations after his resurrection. So that part he's saying is true. He did come first and foremost for the Jews. But here's the interesting thing that happens in this passage. After Jesus says that, but the woman came and did him homage, again saying, Lord, help me. And listen to the Lord's response. It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs. How would you feel if Jesus said that to you if you were asking for a favor? Now, this translation is a little different than what the original text is. The original word should have been pets. It's not right to throw the food of the children to the pets or to the puppies. For some reason, in Western translation, we wanted it to stand out a little bit more. But nevertheless, it's a very humbling thing. And think of how you would have responded if Jesus would have said that to you. But the woman goes on to say, please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of the master. That is an incredible response. It is one filled with beautiful humility. She is willing to take seconds or thirds, and that is enough for her. Then Jesus finally blesses her and says, O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish. Now, there are many lessons in this. The first one, to the woman, right? If she perseveres in faith, she will get for what she asks. You know, sometimes we pray for things, and when do we want them? Like if I pray for something, I want it now, or by the latest tomorrow morning. But sometimes Jesus says, no, you have to wait for that thing. Or maybe that thing's not even good for you, and I'm not going to give it. We were able to coax and kind of manipulate our parents to get them to give us what we wanted. The problem is with God, we can't do that, right? So this woman perseveres in faith, an incredible thing. She receives what she asks for. But there's also a lesson for the apostles and all of those who are standing around, because other people witnessed this. So the first question is, what did the apostles think? First of all, Jesus should not have been talking to a woman. Back in those days, the only woman you could talk to was your mother or your wife or your own daughters or sisters. You cannot talk to a woman that was a stranger, especially a foreigner. And Jesus goes into this conversation with her. And not only a conversation, but he blesses her. The apostles must have felt a little small at this point, because just a few moments ago, they wanted to shoo her away. For who knows what reasons, maybe multiple ones. And the audience who's listening, who are probably mainly Jews. Now, this nuance can be lost on us, because we don't know the cultural impact of what Jesus did, unless we're very familiar with Canaanites and Samaritans and all the rest. Let me give you an updated version of what this would have sounded like so you can feel the impact. Let's say all of us are in here as we are now, and we have a Muslim in here with us, a Jewish person, an atheist, and maybe a Bible-believing Christian. And after Jesus puts us to the test, instead of telling us, he says to the Muslim, your faith is the greatest I've seen here today. You can go home because you are now saved. How would that make you feel as a Catholic? The Jews heard this quite a bit. Think of the story about the Roman centurion. That one really brings it to life. Jesus says to the Roman centurion, I'll go to your house to heal your servant. And the soldier says, no, all you have to do is say the word and it's done. Jesus then says to him, I have not found faith like this in all of Israel. The Romans were not liked by the Jews. Just the opposite, hated. Because what were the Romans doing to the Israelites? They had them under oppression. And yet Jesus goes out of his way. This should kind of strike a chord in our own minds. Are we prejudicial in any way? Do we maybe sometimes have our own racial tendencies? And I don't want this to turn political. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the love of neighbor, as Jesus had. Remember that one other story where the person is trying to trap Jesus and he says, who is my neighbor? Because what is he thinking about, the young lawyer? He's thinking that his neighbor are his parents, his siblings, his extended family, his good friends. There's no way Jesus is talking about Samaritans. There's no way Jesus is talking about a Canaanite or talking about the Gentiles. And then Jesus goes through that whole sermon, right, of now it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't say it. Not the prodigal son, but the Good Samaritan, right? And then who is the one that is good in that, right? He says all these people passed him up, but it was the Samaritan who brought him to the inn and healed him and gave him comfort. So Jesus turns things on its head quite a bit, and it's a good lesson for us. So I ask you that maybe during the week you can go back, look at this text, and let it apply in your own heart, not just some history story from 2,000 years ago. How am I sometimes like the apostles, where I just shoo people away or say, they're not like us, we're better than them? That's how they felt sometimes. It shows you their humanness, but it also shows you the lessons that they learned. They learned very valuable lessons, and when the apostles learned them, they realized that Jesus was right. Everyone is my neighbor. That's why they did not stay in Jerusalem. Some of them did, but a great majority of them, after the resurrection, went out to preach the good news all over the place. Thomas to India, the other apostles all over the Middle East, into Europe, because they realized every single person was a child of God, and that they wanted to bring that person to the fullest potential of a relationship with Jesus Christ. So let us ask our Lord in our own prayer for ourselves and for all of our neighbors, that we too will always have an open heart, an open mind to every single human being, because they are made in the image and likeness of God, that we will treat everyone with dignity, respect, and most of all, love. God bless you.